And on top of all the the difficult subject matter and the portraying that character, you also had the added difficulty of having to speak at multiple languages, at least two, but I think maybe did you speak? I think your character spoke some German as well. So is that do you have a background in French, or was that something that you also had to learn for this film as well?
I've never spoken French in my life.
As,
But I speak five
as
languages.
Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch or Pass. Today I'm joined by Nina Bergman, who plays Marie in Hell Hath No Fury, which is coming to theaters on November 5th, 2021, and digitally on November 9th, 2021. We're going to talk to her in just a second, but first, let's check out the trailer. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. I'll also a lot. Thank you.
You want to tell us where that gold is? Maybe we can all go home.
I'm doing my best to remember. I promise.
If I were you, I'd keep real still, Marie.
When the fighting is over, freedom.
Then we're going to tar and feather that girl. She begged us to help her. Promised the major buried treasure.
We don't find that gold by sundown. This will not end nicely for you.
Don't you see? She's using you.
One clever trickster, Marie. Maybe we put down these guns. We all get a little piece of that gold. We got a deal?
No more deals.
There we go. So thank you so much for joining me. This is Nina Bergman, who plays Marie in Hell Hath No Fury, which is coming to theaters on November 5th, 2021, and digital on November 9th, 2021. It's a World War II story, but it's not one that you would normally expect. This is kind of a different angle and has a lot more suspense than I think we're used to in World War II films. So thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. So this is based on true stories and based on a true story as well. Had you heard of Marie and kind of her predicament before signing on to this, or was this kind of something that you read the script and just fell in love with and wanted to put this on screen?
I haven't heard of her particular story before. I know it was a comic book, a French comic book, and they made it into a French movie, but I haven't heard of her story. But I knew about the redheaded girl in Holland that used to be a resistant fighter, and she would go with her girlfriends on bicycles, and they would seduce Nazis and gather information and shoot them.
Oh wow!
So it's a very famous story. So I was obsessing about that one with that. She's called the Redheaded Girl. I was obsessing about that. So when I read this one, I was like, well, that's what I've been obsessing about. It's not the same. It's not the redheaded girl, but it's the same. They were doing the same thing back then. There was a lot of us doing that. There was a lot of them doing that kind of thing.
Well, I love that you kind of feel a kinship for Marie because you kind of portray, and you kind of went all in this film. Like your character and you as an actress go through a ton in this movie, from shaving your head to kind of having to fight in a nightgown essentially to some of the action scenes. So I assume you knew this going in, but kind of did you appreciate how much of a commitment this role would be when you signed up for this?
I knew, when I read it as an actor, you don't get a lot of, or I don't get a lot of those kind of scripts, where you can really dive in and have a character with that kind of a character arc and that many layers and that history and all that stuff. So when I read the character with the script, I was like, oh, must have. I became like Smeagol in Lord of the Rings. I was like,
my precious.
Yeah, because I just felt her. And I was like, this story, as I said, I just, read about the other women. I was like, these stories are so common and they're not told. They're the unsung heroes. So I was like, I want to do it. I want to do it justice. I'm feeling it at the core of my being. Of course, I will never know exactly what it was like to live in a concentration camp for 3 years and survive. And, the more I studied and the more I read, I realized I don't really know anything about what's really happening. We only get little snippets and the watered down versions. When you really dive in and you learn what really happened in those concentration camps and what was going on. I mean, it was, I cried myself to sleep every night every shooting night, reading, studying. Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible, but it was really rough to learn.
Yeah, so it sounds like after you got the role, you really kind of dove in as well and did more research to just kind of flesh out either the character or just kind of get a sense of the experiences, because that must have been difficult. Like some of those stories are tragic and horrible. And I imagine for every story like Marie's, where there is a, I don't know, spoilers, that there is kind of a happy ending, or at least she gets to live another life. There's plenty of other stories where that didn't happen, and the person sacrificed themselves for the overall cause, or were killed by their compatriots who didn't believe them.
Yeah, I mean, these women, as I said, they're the unsung heroes, because the people that did go through similar stories as Marie, they don't want to talk about it. They just want to move on. They want to have families, and then it's just too much to I think work through, even with us. I can't. I mean, I had a pretty rough life, but nothing compared to these women. Like, I don't know how you work through something like that. I think the way you work through it is you just don't talk about it, and you seal it up in a box, and you just, so that's why these stories are not out there, because the people that went through them, they can't handle it. They can't, what I mean? They can't, they don't want to think about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the survival instinct. It kicks in, and you need to do it to survive, and then afterwards you just kind of want to put it away and not even come up. I think that's actually pretty common with war experiences, and especially World War II. I think my grandpa never really talked much about his service. It just kind of happened, and then that was it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I just talked to the director, Jesse, and he said that this film, it was kind of in a bubble. It was filmed during COVID. You all went out into this, the woods, or wherever this was filmed. What was that experience like? I mean, was it, it's difficult subject matter, but was it good to get back to work, or did everyone just kind of fully commit to this film and really going to live this experience? I guess, what was it like to shoot this film?
I mean, it was amazing shooting during COVID, because I'm one of those actors who like to be in a bubble, and because of COVID, I was in a bubble, and especially for a character like this. So I wanted to stay close to the set, so I didn't have to drive on the 405 to, try to live in this World War II world. And then, so I lived right a walking distance from the set. Yeah, so I wanted to live close to there, and I only really communicated with the director and my co-stars because of COVID. I couldn't, I just would go to set, go to my trailer. And for this particular character, I did not want to communicate. I didn't do any emails, no text, no nothing. I just tried to immerse myself as much as I could into that world, so it really helped. You wake up, you're on set, you go to sleep, you're on set. I'm wearing her clothes. I'm pretty much eating the way she is. I'm hanging out in my tiny little trailer, and
Wow.
living this very secluded life, which I loved for the character, and having actors who were doing the same. It's rare you work with actors who are on the same page, who work the same way. Timothy V. Murphy's, from the Actors Studio. You have all of these great actors who really wanted to go there with me to create the best results.
And I love the wisdom you just dropped, because I would also advocate you should just stay away from the 405. Just don't drive on the 405. It's a terrible, terrible freeway to be on. So I think that was smart.
It's a mood killer when you're trying to live in that world, right? Reality, to say the least, right?
You're thinking of terrible things, and then you're just stuck in traffic and everyone's honking.
It just didn't work. I like to. Me personally, I like to, whenever I work, to, I go all in, all or nothing kind of thing, so it was, I had to stay there. And Jesse Johnson, the director, was so gracious to have a shoot in chronological order. So as my character goes through whatever she's going through, that's shaping her into who she becomes, I was able to do that in time, which was, I mean, I would have done whatever was needed of me, but that was really helpful, to shoot in chronological order.
Yeah, especially because it kind of goes, your character goes from kind of a, I don't know what it was like, but a more comfortable life into a much less comfortable. So it would have been tough to kind of switch back and forth between that type of a persona. I mean, even when she's in her comfortable life, it's not comfortable. Like she's in great danger, but it's still kind of a very different perspective on her character.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I love that the kind of the shooting and the COVID bubble aspect, really, it seems like it made everyone kind of go method almost. You like you said, you were living this world, and so it does feel like everyone was kind of living in that time and method acting. So that must have been interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's how, I come from the world of plays. I became an actor because I love the craft of acting and I wanted to do plays my whole life. Period pieces is my favorite, right?
Mhm.
So to get this piece and work with these people that wanted to go there, and then, after set, I would go to a house that they set me up in that the director was staying at too. So every night we would sit and talk shots, go over everything. It's like, I mean, I forgot when we were shooting where we were, what we were doing. You just become, every night I sit and watch every video I can get my hands on. I read every story that was told back then. And I would just sit and look at these images and really try to imprint them in my mind. I would dream about it. I would have nightmares about it. I would wake up soaked in sweat about it. I would go to set, thinking about it. I would listen to, the 1930s music that they listened to back then. I would, try to think what she would eat, how she would drink her tea, what she drink, you know what I mean? I'm one
Yeah.
of the, I go, as I said, I just wanted to give the character and Marie justice,
And on top of all the the difficult subject matter and the portraying that character, you also had the added difficulty of having to speak at multiple languages, at least two, but I think maybe did you speak, I think your character spoke some German as well. So is that do you have a background in French, or was that something that you also had to learn for this film as well?
I've never spoken French in my life.
That's-
But I speak five
that's-
languages, and it
oh,
was one
wow.
of those where, when you have a gun to your head, you can remember things and you can do things that you didn't know that you could do. And from my training, I went to the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow as a ballerina. I was an amateur boxer. I've had severe training and learned that I can do things that I think I can't do. So when I got the part with not a lot of prep, I was like, no, Nina, you can learn French. Ballet, like plie, releve, pirouette. You know what I mean? You can totally learn to speak French and do a French accent. And it's one of those things where, sometimes it's good when there's no time because then you don't judge. I would like someone like me who's a perfectionist and overthinks and, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's good when it's just like you have a gun to your head, you just jump in. I went to NYU and have a lot of training, and that's where all of, I think, your training kicks in, and all your years of theater and acting classes and God knows what, dialect coaches, and you know what I mean? It kicks in. So I really enjoyed it. Would I want to do it again? Hell no. It was. I told Jesse, I was like, the next one, I need like 3 months of prep, and 6 months of prep. And because I believe preparation is key, right?
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I don't think I could have been more, I didn't think I could be more impressed by your performance, but after seeing the film. But that, like the fact that you didn't speak French and were able to learn French for this film is amazing. That is a
Well, if I put a
testament to
gun
your.
to your head, you'd be really surprised what you
That's
can do.
true.
You have to do that to yourself, That was my old acting coach would always be like, Nina, if I have a gun to your head, and I'd be like, I'm just like, because I have dyslexia on top of it, so it's really hard for me to learn because
Oh
everything
wow.
ups, but when you have to and when you want to and when you really commit, it's amazing what we can do, right?
That's true. That's true. And so your character, on top of the emotional and language barriers, you also got into some of the action. I know you have a background in action, and you're a boxer and you've done some action films. So how much of that transferred to here? I know this is a gunplay, so maybe that's not used to what you're used to. What was that like? How much prep did you need for the action sides of this?
Well, the action part was easy for me, easy, compared to all the emotional, because I do a lot of action stuff. And then I had, a great stunt team and great scene partners, Daniel Bernhardt, he's the action guru, he works at 8711 and that's what he does. So it's easier when you have, a good scene partner. But that to me wasn't that difficult. What was almost more difficult is, her Marie, my character's strength is not, punching and kicking. She's, I had to lose weight. She's like this more fragile woman who doesn't have a lot of power because she's surrounded by all these soldiers and she's kind of dominated. So her power is, she's like the quiet one in the corner that you need to watch out for, because her power is up here. So it's actually hard for me because I used to be the one that punches and kicks and, confront people. And Marie is the quiet one in the corner who just stands there and looks like the victim. But she's the one that's just plotting everything, moving all the little pieces like chess. Her power is up here. It's not
Definitely.
physical strength. So that was a huge adjustment for me.
And I love that. I loved it and was also very frustrated by that about your character, because it did seem like there was something going. She had all the answers and just was trickle feed it to us as viewers, and you kind of learned very slowly throughout the film. But it made sense because it also gave you this. One of the things I really liked about this movie is there seemed to be three distinct sides in this film. And to Marie, you couldn't really tell if any of them were friends or enemies. They kind of went in, they kind of merged throughout, and that was one of the more interesting aspects of this film is like she really just had herself. Like she couldn't really rely on anyone just because of their preconceptions or their thoughts on her. So
yeah. I mean, she she couldn't, because I think what Jesse was trying to do was show that war brings the worst out of people. Even the Americans, even just greed, loss in faith and like humanity, and he just war just brings the worst out of people, and I think he wants to do that. And Marie, I mean, I thought he did a very good job at with my character, like, am I in love with the SS officer or am I not in love with the SS officer? Who am I trusting? What's side am I on? What's really going on? I thought he did a good job. I mean, me as an actor, I knew exactly what my choices were, but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to see the film to find out. See, and I've seen the film, but I still am not sure. So it's a very nuanced kind of situation because she definitely.
Yeah, I think if Von Bruckner, the SS officer, and Marie had met in a different circumstances, maybe their story would have been different. Yeah. But he happened to kill her parents. So
that does put him at a negative already. So
yeah, so
it's a high bar to overcome.
Yeah, it gets complicated.
And speaking of bars, some of the more striking props in this film, there were the gold bar, or I guess the gold bars that were part of this. How heavy were those? I mean, I don't know how they looked like they were substantial, but I know they're movie props. How heavy were those gold bars, and what do they look like up close?
They're not heavy enough.
I've never had a big chunk of gold, so I guess I would just.
We had to act. Yeah, we had to act. They were not. I wish they were heavier, because then, as I said, I like to make everything as real as I can for myself. And I lifted it. I was like, oh, So, but it's one of those things where you just make it real for yourself, and these gold bars for her, for Marie, for me, was my parents' teeth, were in there. My parents, wedding rings. I mean, this is what the gold was made of back then. So, for me, the gold wasn't heavy physically; it was heavy emotionally, because it was all my family and my people, and it was their parts of them that was in that gold. So
Yeah.
So I think that is what made it heavy for her, if that makes any sense.
And I think that's a good point about this film is, I think I've seen films and video games about searching for Nazi gold, and I don't think I didn't appreciate exactly what that was until this film. I'm sure I'd heard that had happened before, but like kind of seeing, I don't know, a dramatic representation of it and kind of seeing the characters interacting with it really kind of drove home just how cursed, I guess, these gold bars were. Or maybe Marie thought of them more as kind of like not reverent, but at least maybe she associated them with all the people that had been lost in her family and whatnot.
Oh, definitely. There is actually some dialogue in there in the movie, and also where Marie went to Ravensbrück for 3 years. Is one of the worst concentration camps. And what they would do is they would put X's on their back. If you got an X on the back, that meant, they don't gas them and, throw them out. That meant that they had gold in their teeth and they had something valuable on them. So once you got the X on the back, that meant, rip their teeth out. You know what I mean? Like, she witnessed all of that. She saw all of that, so for her, that gold just, as I said, the meaning, it wasn't, that's the point of the whole movie. It's not, the prices they had to pay for that gold, you know what I mean, is what I think drives my character throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. No, and it drives everyone, but I think your character is the most kind of in tune and also kind of in control of this crazy situation.
Yeah.
So I'd like to switch. I know we have limited time. I'd like to switch. So I call it the lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. They kind of relate to things that happened. You can feel free not to answer them, but I try to keep them very answerable. So the first
Okay.
question is, before this film, had you ever fired any World War II weapons?
Yeah.
Hey.
I actually worked when I first came here. I was Jesse Johnson's Wonder Woman. We
Oh,
did a
nice.
Wonder Woman short film before Wonder Woman actually came out, and he cast me as his Wonder Woman.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
And we've been trying to work ever since. Yeah. So I had, again, World War II weapons, and I am very much against guns, but I love shooting them, and I'm really good at it. But I hate them, and it's like this weird thing, I would never own one, but I love shooting them, and it's like natural. It's like a natural thing for me.
I mean, you are an action star, so I guess that makes sense. So yeah, comfortable, but also yeah, this love-hate relationship is
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know what it is. It just feels like it feels like I just know instinctually what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what to say.
but I think that's appropriate, right? Like, you want to shoot them in a controlled environment where you know that there's no bad consequences, whereas out in the world they are tools and they also can cause a lot of harm. So the second question, one character is called Little Badger in the film. Do you have a nickname of some sort?
Marie in the movie.
Or are you Nina? Do you personally have a nickname?
Me, a lot of my friends call me Nins.
Yeah, there we go.
Nins. And my full name is Nina Maria, and most people don't know that, but my family call me Maria, and
Oh,
everyone else in the world calls me Nina.
there you go. And your friends call you Nin, so that's three different things.
Yeah, Nins. They call me Nins a lot. I don't know why.
And speaking of the little badger aspect, what animal would you say you are most like?
Oh, like definitely cat-like.
All right.
Yes, like yeah, definitely. Like I like to be petted, but not too much. Not like a dog.
You like attention, but on your terms. Is
On
what
my
get.
terms, yes.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Have you ever had to go undercover?
Yeah, I worked for 6 years as an undercover animal rights activist.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I would do slaughter farms, mink farms, horse racing tracks to expose what they do to the horses. I'm a hardcore vegan, and I, still do it to a certain extent, but I had to stop because it was messing with me. It
Yeah.
was messing me up because of what I saw.
That
Yeah.
is such an interesting parallel. I mean, it's not the same scale, but that is an interesting parallel to kind of the things that Marie went through, right? She had kind of put herself in there because that situation can be, damaging to your psyche, as you said, and then also it can be dangerous. I mean, you can risk
Oh yeah.
prison time or even, maybe even physical violence if they find
Yeah, I mean,
out.
the dog fights when we would go and grab the pit bulls. I mean, that was some shady things. And, I don't want to get all too heavy here, but there's a distinct parallel. When I go to the slaughterhouses and I watch how they gas the animals and I watch what they do to them, it is identical to what happened in World War II to the Jews. The techniques and everything that they do, it is identical. So I always said, I mean, the war is not over for factory farming. It is just disgusting what's happening in there. Paul McCartney always said if they had glass windows, no one would eat meat. I understand people can't stop eating meat, but there is like, you know what I mean? It's like, come on,
There-
you know what I mean? Like,
there
come
are
on.
levels, yeah, like you said, the factory farms are kind of more on the efficiency side of things, and there's
Yeah.
different ways that one can raise and slaughter meat in, at varying degrees, and there's a
Yeah.
wide
Yeah,
chasm.
I mean, yeah. There's a direct parallel, and I use that a lot actually in my acting as Marie, because it was identical. What I saw in the slaughterhouses is exactly what I saw on some of the videos that they would do. So that it was very helpful and
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it helped me get there to really understand the vastness of what was happening. Because the thing is, when you see those things, it's not the images that messed me up, it's the smells, it's the screams, it's the, you know what I mean, like those kind of things. And I thought those people that went through the Holocaust and did all this, I mean, that's that's what messes you up. The images, you can only take in so much, but it's all those other senses that really messes you up.
Yeah, the things that can come back to you, right? I'm sure you'll hear something or smell something and it'll come back to you.
Exactly. Certain smells. I go on the 405, and as soon as I smell those, no, not 405, the 5.
Yeah, going up through after the grapevine.
I just start the rage. I start feeling sick. I start, you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? It's the smells from when I used to do it,
And I mean, so did you also get? I know that there's legislation that's been come out in a couple of the states that have factory ag bills, I think is what they're called. Did you experience that as well?
I'm a big advocate for that. So most people sign them, but they're still, and it was actually created where I'm from, which is disgusting, because I consider, the Danish people quite advanced, but when it comes to animals, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened there. But I mean, there are gastral crates where the pigs can't move at all. You know what I mean? They can lie down and they can stand up, and they made them illegal. I know Walmart is one of the last ones to sign the bill. It's just, I mean, I've worked on this, I don't know, for years now. You know what I mean? For years because it should be illegal. I mean, you know what I mean? It's animal abuse at the, you know what I mean? If we put a dog in a situation like that, instantly we would, it would be reported and the dog would be taken away. But somehow, because it's a pig and it makes a different sound and it looks a little different, it's okay, So those crates are, it's insanity that it's legal. And so we're still working on that. It's not illegal yet at all the states. It's still happening.
Are they gestation crates? Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know if you see them. They're like tiny little things. They can just stand and then they can lie down and you see the little piglets. I mean, all it doesn't matter who you are. It's like the same with cows. Cows, they have a different language, that they speak to each of their, children. You know what I mean? I mean, a mom is a mom. You know what I mean? When you take the little babies away, it's like you go crazy. All animals feel the same in that sense. We're all the same in that sense. You can't, you just can't treat beings like that. And I feel like now that for the World War II, we woke up about that. Like, I think it's time to wake up about, they're still beings and they're still feeling the same when you take their babies away and they're stuck in these tiny little crates, So, so I'm working hard on that. I'm not on the ground running anymore because, as I said, my skin is too thin. Mm-hmm. I got into a really, really, really dark place.
Yeah, well, hearing some of your stories, and then kind of seeing some of the videos from that world, it does feel like a very like a terrible place to be in. So I don't fault you at all for leaving.
No, I mean, most people just don't know. They just don't know. I didn't know that farm factory was one of the, I think, the most cruel industries in the world. The dairy industry is the most cruel ever. I didn't know that. I was like, well, what's wrong with milk? You know what I mean? I did not know what was happening behind closed doors, but people, I was one of them. I didn't want to know. It's too much. Ignorance is bliss, right? But what happens is people start getting sick and they're dying, and that's when people are waking up because the animals are sick. I go every Sunday, not because of COVID. Every Sunday I go down to St. John's slaughterhouse, and we give the pigs water before they go in. 10,000 pigs a day, and we give them water right downtown LA and give them water before they go into the slaughterhouse. And those pigs are like 6 months old, 3 times the size, cancer lumps, some of them this size. Some of them are dead from the drive from Utah, they come from Arizona. And I'm like, if people saw, some of them are like little puppies, they just want to play, they still don't understand what's happening. If you just saw those little guys, maybe you'll, you just, like, why would you want to eat? I mean, they're sick. You could see they're so sick, some of them. Why would you want to put that in your body just for health? If you don't care about the animals, so people are getting sick, so people are waking up, and it's, the fastest growing movement is veganism. So I'm like, yay.
your work is paying dividends. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so going back on topic. I did like that.
I'm sorry. I'm so.
No, it's great. I like, I like hearing about your interests.
I don't preach, but when people ask,
yeah,
I
there
get
you
that.
go. Have you ever used a metal detector to find treasure, like looking for treasure on the beach or anything like that?
No,
All right, there you go.
I have not.
What is the most valuable thing you have lost? And it sounds like it might be your innocence after going undercover in some of these slaughterhouses. But what is the most valuable thing that you've lost?
Oh,
You could have found it. You could found it later. It just if you,
like a personal thing.
yeah. I talked to one person who they lost their wedding ring like on their honeymoon, and then it just like drove them crazy.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah,
yeah, but my stuff is so dark. I'm
that's
sorry.
true. It's true.
I was raped at 14. That was
Oh
probably
Jesus.
the first thing that was taken from me. I'm sitting here.
Yeah, so that innocence was lost way earlier. That's terrible.
So I'm like, I have a very dark past, but I work really hard, so I'm somewhat stable now. You know what I mean? I work through it, but yeah, I always feel like it's such a party pooper because my past is so dark. People are like, well, how was it? And I'm like, well, you really want to know?
Yeah, I mean, it happens in life, and it kind of shaped who you were, and kind of shaped.
You are right.
Yeah, so.
I probably wouldn't be so compassionate and fight for the voiceless and the innocence and what happened. The reason I am who I am is because what happened. I think the reason why I relate to Marie, my character, is because I went through it. I was a victim of my circumstances. Marie is a victim of her circumstances. So that's why I relate to a lot of those, I think, characters. Which I'm grateful for everything that happened because I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah, no, it's that's a terrible situation, but yeah, you grew stronger because of it. Maybe in spite of it. Maybe it's in spite of it. So
yeah.
And I guess that last question, I'm scared that this is gonna
are you sure you want to ask this? Oh, you can just say, lighten up, okay?
No. We're going on this journey. I like hearing your experiences and where you came from.
My life.
Do you have any gold on you now?
No, I don't.
Right.
I'm a silver girl.
All right.
I'm against gold and diamonds. Black diamonds, how they come from, and I have a thing with gold. I don't know why. I think I would never wear gold. I always wear silver. Huh. Maybe it's I just have a thing. It just feels I'm against diamonds, and I don't like gold. Always silver.
Yeah, no, that makes. I mean, gold has caused a lot of greed and whatnot. So maybe that's it. I don't know, but hey, it's your preference.
Yeah, subconsciously, how interesting. Yeah, I mean, everything I own is always silver, and if people try to give me diamonds, it's not my thing.
Yeah,
I'm cheap that way.
Well, hey, you know what? If frugal would be the correct word, I think, or you just have your preferences. At least, yeah, silver instead of platinum. It's just varying degrees. So I guess. You have a prolific career, and this film is coming out early next month. I can't believe it's November. It's already November.
Yeah.
You're going to be promoting it. What's next for you? Where can people look for you after they see Hell Hath No Fury and kind of see the hell that you went through in this film?
Yeah. I have a couple of things. I have another movie called Seize the Night that's coming out. We don't have a release date yet. Like Requiem for a Dream meets Before Sunrise.
Oh, wow.
I played a goth singer and I wrote all the music for it. And it's again a true story about her life. So it's a really profound movie. I think I love the story. So I have that one come out. We don't have a release date, Seize the Night. Then I have a comic book coming out at the end of the year called Freya. It's a live comic book. My character name is Freya and it's narrated by music that I wrote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting concept. So that one is coming out at the end of the year. I just booked an amazing video game character that I am doing next week, and I can't talk about it.
Oh, I like games, but okay.
She's badass. She's badass. So I'm just really hoping, because I'm shooting the day of my premiere. We have a premiere screening on the 3rd. And I'm really hoping they're not going to give me like a pink mohawk, because I really don't feel like going to the premiere with like, you know what I mean?
I mean, you'll draw attention, and it'll be a good picture at least, right? Even if it looks a little odd, it'll
You know,
you'll
I
get
want to
attention.
grow a little. Like I'm
Yeah.
really into having hair again.
That must have been a tough scene to shoot, just in terms of like the content and also the fact that you only get one take, right? So it has to be right the first time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. This is Nina Bergman. She plays Marie in Hell Hath No Fury, which comes out in theaters on November 5th, 2021, and digitally on November 9th, 2021. Make sure to follow her because she is an interesting person, as you can tell, and has all sorts of other causes that she'd like to educate you about. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
That was Nina Bergman talking about Hell Hath No Fury, which is coming to theaters on November 5th, 2021, and digital on November 9th, 2021. It's a World War II experience that goes a little bit outside of what you're normally used to. It has plenty of action and suspense. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content comes straight to you. And also, please check out the rest of my content. I've got other interviews, reviews, unboxing videos, and weekly recommendations. Thank you.